John Prine, In Spite of Ourselves. She don't like her eggs all runny. She thinks crossing her legs is funny. She looks down her nose at money. She gets it on like the Easter bunny. She's my baby, I'm her honey. I'm never gonna let her go.
He ain't got laid in a month of Sundays. I caught him once and he was sniffing my undies. He ain't too sharp, he gets things done. He drinks his beer like it's oxygen. He's my baby, and I'm his honey. Never gonna let him go.
In spite of ourselves, we'll end up a-sitting on a rainbow.
Against all odds, honey, we're the big door prize.
We're gonna spite our noses right off of our faces.
There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes.
She thinks all my jokes are corny. Convict movies make her horny. She likes ketchup on her scrambled eggs. Swears like a sailor when she shaves her legs. She takes a licking and keeps on ticking. I'm never gonna let her go.
He's got more balls than a big brass monkey. He's a whacked out weirdo and a love bug junkie. Sly as a fox, crazy as a loon. Payday comes, he's a howling at the moon. He's my baby, I don't mean maybe. I'm never gonna let him go.
In spite of ourselves, we'll end up sitting on a rainbow.
Against all odds, honey, we're the big door prize.
We're gonna spite our noses right off of our faces.
There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes.
There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes. In spite of ourselves.
That song. Woo. And now for something a little bit different. Here's a song written by the amazing Dave Carter. It's called Tanglewood Tree. And Tracy Grammer, who lives here in the valley, continues the legacy. And here's I think, one of his best tunes. Love is a tanglewood tree in a bower of green in a forest at dawn. Fair while the mockingbird sings, she soon lifts her wings and the music is gone. Young lovers in the tall grass with their hearts open wide when the red summer poppies bloom. But love is a trackless domain and the rumor of rain in the late afternoon. Love is an old root that creeps through the meadows of sleep when the long shadows cast. Then, as a vagrant young vine, it encircles and twines, and it holds the heart fast. Catches dreamers in the wildwood with the stars in their eyes and the moon in their tousled hair. But love is a light in the sky and an unspoken lie and a half-whispered prayer. I'm walking down a bone-dry river, but the cool mirage runs true. I'm banking on the fables of a far, far better things we do. I'm living for the day of reckoning, counting down the hours. I yearn away, I burn away, I turn away the fairest flower of love. 'Cause darling, love is a garden of thorns, and a crow in the corn, and the brake growing wild. Cold when the summer is spent, in the jade heart's lament for the faith of a child. My body has a number, and my face has a name, and each day looks the same to me. But love is a voice on the wind, and the wages is thin, and a tanglewood tree.
Well, that certainly was a change of pace. Here's something that falls in between John Prine and Tracy Grammer. It's Steve Goodman, The One That Got Away. There were two old middle-aged men, and they were sitting in the corner bar. They were lying about what wonderful lovers they are, bending each other's ear, bending their elbows too, holding their arms apart, the way that fishermen do, saying you should have seen the one that got away. You should have seen the one that got away. And there were two old middle-aged women, and they were sitting in the beauty salon, waiting for their nails to dry and putting each other on, trading their recipes, all of the ways to save, and 101 night stands with a brand new permanent wave. Ah, you should have seen the one that got away. You should have seen the one that got away. Hindsight makes the heart grow fonder. That's what it costs when you run around saying I love you with your fingers crossed. And it's too late to go back now. This is just about as good as it gets for rock and roll Romeos and their jukebox Juliets. You can see them all out on the street, trying to figure out what it all means. And tonight they'll make their lives complete in the safety of their dreams by throwing their arms around the one that got away. You should have seen the one that got away. Yeah, you should have seen the one that got away. You should have seen the one that got away.
Nice, Charlie. I love that song.
Thanks. Me too.
It's great.
You want a key for Bob Blue?
Yeah, let's sing a Bob Blue song. When Erica Levine was 7.5, up to her door came Jason Metcalf, and he said,
Erica, will you marry me, Erica Levine?
And Erica Levine said, What do you mean?
Well, my father and my mother say a fellow ought to marry, and my father said his brother, who is my Uncle Harry, never married, and he said Uncle Harry is a dope. So will you marry me?
Said Erica, nope. My piano teacher's smart, and she never had to marry. And your father may be right about your Uncle Harry, but not being married isn't what made him a dope. Don't ask me again, 'cause my answer is nope. When Erica Levine was 17, she went to a dance with Joel Bernstein, and they danced by the night of the sparkling bobby sock, 'cause the theme of the prom was the history of rock. And after the prom, Joel kissed her at the door, and he said,
Do you know what that kiss was for?
and she said, I don't know, but you kissed just fine. And he said,
What it means is that you are mine.
and she said, no, I'm not. And she rushed inside. And on the way home, Joel Bernstein cried. And she cried too and wrote a letter to Miss, saying, this much I know, I'm mine, not his. When Erica Levine was 23, her lover said,
Erica, marry me. This relationship is answering a basic need, and I'd like to have it legally guaranteed. For without your precious love, I would surely die. So why can't we make it legal?
Said Erica, why? Basic needs at your age should be met by you. I'm your lover, not your mother. Let's be careful what we do. If I should ever marry, I will marry to grow. Not for tradition or possession or protection, no. I love you, but your needs are a very different issue. Then he cried, and Erica handed him a tissue. When Erica was 30, she was talking with Lou, discussing and deciding what they wanted to do.
When we marry, should we move into your place or mine? Yours is rent controlled, but mine is on the green line.
And they argued and they talked, and they finally didn't care. They joined a small cooperative near Central Square. Their wedding was a simple one, they wanted it that way. They thought a lot about the things that they would choose to say.
I will live with you and love you, but I'll never call you mine.
Then the judge pronounced them married, and everyone had wine. And a happily ever after life is not the kind they got. But they tended to be happy more often than not. Erica Levine.
Bob Blue.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know that song for the longest time, and it took a little effort to kind of remember that. I really wanted to learn it, and I'm so glad I did. Well, I'm going to do a song now by Anais Mitchell, and it's her take on a story that none of us really knew. It's called Shenandoah. Lord, have mercy on my mind, mercy on my memory. I'm lying 'neath the same Virginia sky where she laid beside me, biding time, trying to abide me. Every night when the night was long, she was clinging to me, told me twice that her love was strong, stronger than the love in old love songs. She was singing to me, oh, Shenandoah, across the rolling water, oh, Shenandoah, where's your restless daughter? Don't know what I gave them for all my little lessons. How you start the peas before the corn, how you start before the air is warm. She was never listening. I could see there in her sorry eyes, hear it in her breathing. Didn't come to me like some surprise, didn't even ask her why. When she said I'm leaving, oh, Shenandoah, across the rolling water, oh, Shenandoah, where's your willful daughter? I brought in the winter squash, I brought in the melon, Cortland Empire Macintosh on the afternoon before the frost. I could feel it coming. I can see her now in her flowery clothes, all those things I bought her, trailing her perfume wherever she goes, across the rolling water, Shenandoah. Where's your restless daughter, Shenandoah? Mercy on your daughter.
It's kind of a nice segue between that song and this. This is a song from Ireland. It's written by Mickey McConnell. It's called The Tinkerman's Daughter. The wee birds were lining the bleak autumn branches, waiting to fly to a far sunny shore, when the Tinkers made camp at a bend on the river, coming back from the horse fair at Ballinasloe. The harvest being over, the Tinkers came walking all along the Fail River that bordered the land. 'Twas there he first saw her, twixt firelight and water, the Tinkerman's daughter, the red-headed Anne. Next morning he woke from a night without resting. He went to her father to make his claim known. In a pub in Listowel they worked out a bargain, for the tinker a pony, for the daughter a home, where the trees shed their shadows along the Fail River. The tinker and farmer inspected the land, and a white gelding pony was the price they agreed on, for the Tinkerman's daughter, the red-headed Anne. With the wedding soon over, the Tinkers departed. They're eager to travel on south down the road, but the crunch of their iron-shod wheels on the gravel was as bitter to her as the way she'd been sold. She tried hard to please him, she did all his bidding. She slept in his bed and she worked on his land. But the walls of that cabin pressed tighter and tighter on the Tinkerman's daughter, the red-headed Anne. White as the hands of the priest or the hangman, the snow spread its blanket the next Christmas round. The Tinkerman's daughter slipped out of his bedside, turned her back on the land and her face to the town. It said someone saw her that dusk the same evening as she made her way out of Long Iron Compound. And that was the last time the settled folks saw her, the Tinkerman's daughter, the red-headed Anne. Where the North Kerry hills cut the field at Listowel, at a farm on its banks lives a bitter old man, and he swears by the shotgun he keeps at his bedside. He'll kill any tinker that camps on his land. Whenever he hears iron-shod wheels crunching gravel, or a horse in the shafts of a bright caravan, then his day's work's tormented, his night sleeps demented by the Tinkerman's daughter, the red-headed Anne.
I'm quite partial to songs about red-headed Anns. That is
I thought I'd sneak it in there on you.
I'm a weaver, a cotton weaver. I'm a rash and a roving blade. I've got silver in my pocket, and I follow the roving trade. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh.
As I rode in through Glasgow City, Nancy whiskey I chanced to smell. I went in, sat down beside her. 7 long years, oh, I loved her well. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh.
The more I kissed her, the more I loved her. The more I kissed her, the more she smiled. Soon I forgot my mother's teaching. Nancy soon had me beguiled. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh.
I rose early in the morning to slake my thirst. It was my need. I tried to rise, but I was not able. Nancy had me by the knees. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh.
So I'm going back to the cotton weaving. I'm surely making them shadows fly, for I made more at the cotton weaving than ever I did in the roving way. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh.
So come all you weavers, you cotton weavers, weavers where'er you be Beware of whiskey, Nancy Whiskey. She'll ruin you like she ruined me. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy Whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh.
All right. Well, we're bringing in Peter Blood here.
A ringer. They're bringing in a ringer.
And what's more appropriate than to have a fiddle after a song like that? So here's something completely different. I think all of us in this Zoom room are big fans of Lou and Peter Berryman, our good buddies who have been writing songs for a long time. And here's one called Forget Me Not. When the what-you-call-ems blossom by the back porch, and the bluish-purple who's-its do the same, and the bird with yellow on it sings a number, my mind drifts back to lovely what's-her-name. Well, the puffy nimbo something clouds are floating high above the whoozy what's-his tree. Bushes with the purple jobs are blooming by those forget-me-nots I love to see. On the Monday or the Tuesday that I met her, we had pasta full of cheese, what is it called? When we stopped at the cafe something or other, where our Dodge, or was it Studebaker's stall? Well, we danced some kind of dance I can't remember, as they played that was the name of that old song. I recall I gave her wine, or was it candy, and I brought a few forget-me-nots along. I almost can remember what she looks like, her elbow on the gizmo of her chair, pinning up the doodad of her dicky and snapping the doohickey in her hair. Well, I gave her a fancy thing of flowers and asked her if she'd share my driveway too. And if my memory serves me, she was cordial, but whispered, these forget-me-nots'll do. Well, I should look her up one of these summers. I believe she moved to Boise or Madrid, so that we could lie again by what's that river and do some of the things I think we did. She broke my heart, or was it vice versa? One of us was sad as we could be. I sent her some forget-me-nots in parting, or did she send forget-me-nots to me?
Woohoo! We're doing a series of these odd and unpredictable love songs, and I think Peter and Louis Berryman are going to be in heavy rotation. And another one in heavy rotation will be Dave Gordon. And not so many people know Dave Gordon's music, but that's not my fault. I sing them all the time. And this song's, well, it's unpredictable. And maybe just a trifle dishonest. Let's try this. When he's taking you home from your wedding and the salt wind comes off of the sea, when your loved ones are laughing and dancing. Don't think of me. Don't think of me when the nights are long and cold, and you need a hand to hold, and you hear the foghorn blow. Caught between the ocean and the sea, that's where I'll be. Don't think of me. I'll be sailing for China tomorrow. The gear is stowed, the papers are signed. You will change your address come the summer. Don't change your mind. Don't change your mind, though your heart's about to break. It would be a great mistake. You're old enough to know. I'll be gone for 2 years, maybe 3. Eternity. Don't think of me. I'll be raising the sails in the morning. You'll be raising your own family. He'll be doing the best that he's able. Don't think of me. Don't think of me, or remember what I meant when I said before I went that I didn't have to go. Once I found a dove caught in a tree, but I set her free. Don't think of me. Don't think of me. Dave Gordon. Had you heard that before?
I've not heard that before. Beautiful. Whew. I awoke today, found the frost perched on the town, covered in a frozen sky, gobbled summer down. When the sun turns straight to gold, and all the trees are shivering in a naked road, I get the urge for going, but I never seem to go. And I get the urge for going when the meadow grass is turning brown. Summertime is falling down, winter's closing in. Had me a boy in summertime with summer-colored skin. Not another girl in town my darling hearts could win. When the leaves fell trembling down, bully winds did rub their faces in the snow. He got the urge for going, and I had to let him go. And he got the urge for going when the meadow grass is turning brown. Summertime is falling down. Winter's closing in. The warriors of winter give a cold, triumphant shout. All that stays is dying, and all that lives is getting out. See the geese in chevron flight, flapping and racing on before the snow. They got the urge for going, they got the wings to fly, and I get the urge for going when the meadow grass is turning brown. Summertime is falling down. Winter's on its way. So I'll ply the fire with kindling. I'll put the blankets to my chin. I'll lock the vagrant winter out, and I'll bolt my wandering in. I'd like to call back summertime, have her stay for just another month or so. She's got the urge for going, so I guess she'll have to go. And she gets the urge for going when the meadow grass is turning brown. All her empires are falling down. Winter's closing in, and I get the urge for going when the meadow grass is turning brown. Summertime is falling down.
Wow. You do a beautiful job of that song. That is just such an extraordinary song. So many of the lines in that song just...
You know, I learned how to drive in Canada. My sister went to school up in Montreal, and whenever I sing that song, I think about the times when we would drive up in the cold of winter to drop her off at school. And, you know, thinking about Joni Mitchell, Canadian, of course, you know, it's nothing like the winters up there in Canada.
Bully winds all push their faces in the snow. How would you like to write a line like that? I know I would. Well, one of the major categories of odd and unpredictable love songs is interspecies dating, and there's not enough of that going on in the world, but there are a lot of songs about it. So this is one of them by John S. Thompson, who lives in the deserts of southern Arizona. I can't even remember the name of it. I think it's called The Lonesome Raven. The raven on the bar stool next to me let out a mournful groan. He said, I'm haunted tonight by the memory of the greatest love I've known. It was the last chance ice cream parlor, and I touched him on the wing. I said, I'll buy you a plate of your favorite flavor if you'll tell me everything. Well, with the bowl of rocky road in front of him, the raven told his tale. He said, I weathered out a storm about a month ago, out on the gun sight trail. Next morning when the sun come rising, I started down the road, but I came to a stop when I saw the hopping of a lovely little spade-foot toad. A lovely little toad in the road, croaking out a lovely tune. Skin as smooth as a maraschino cherry, eyes that shine like a spoon, soft little hands to caress me. Beverly was her name. I fell in love with the pretty little toad, and I'll never be the same. Poor lonely raven scraped his bowl and then fixed his eyes on himself in the mirror and started up again. We spent that day in a reverie in a canyon by a waterfall. I had never met a toad like Beverly. I never met a toad at all. I told her the ways of the raven. I sang her the song of the corn. She sang me the song about the very first flood and how the toads were born. Well, the weather got hotter and hotter till there wasn't any water in the creek. She stayed in the shade of my open wing. I brought her water in my beak. She said, even though my time has come, you'll always be my man. Oh, I started to cry as she said goodbye and buried herself in the sand. Poor lonely raven, poor lonely bird, cleared his throat, hopped off of the stool and said these final words. You know, since that day I've been wandering and I kind of fell apart. But I've also been doing some pondering, reflecting on my broken heart. You know, she's down there and she's sleeping, and for now I've lost my friend. But when a year rolls around and the rain rolls down, I know she'll rise again. That lovely little spade-foot toad, croaking out a lovely tune. Skin as smooth as a maraschino cherry, eyes as bright as a spoon, soft little hands to caress me. Ooh, Beverly was her name. I fell in love with a pretty little toad, and I'll never be the same. Beverly.
That is so sweet. I love
Sad.
that.
It's sad, isn't it?
Well, yeah. It's kind of sad, but really sweet too.
Yeah.
Most of the love songs about interspecies love songs are about horses, I think.
About what?
Horses.
Horses? I didn't hear. He said most of the interspecies love songs are about horses. I don't think. But Charlie, you know more of these than anybody I know. Well, I don't know how you're going to transition from that one to Sweet Thames Flows Softly, but that's what we're doing.
Yeah, who put this set together anyhow?
Oh my gosh.
So, this song by Ewan MacColl, and he wrote it for a BBC broadcast, which was a modern urban adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. And it's not the first song that Ewan wrote about trying to place sort of classic images and scenarios in working class urban settings. And this is kind of a trip down the Thames River. Actually, geographically not quite accurate, but you get the idea anyhow. It's called Sweet Thames, Flow Softly. I met my girl at Woolwich Pier, beneath the big crane standing. And oh, the love I've felt for her, it passed all understanding. Took her sailing on the river.
Flow, sweet river, flow.
London town was mine to give her.
Sweet Thames, flow softly.
Made the Thames into a crown.
Flow, sweet river, flow.
Made a brooch of Silver Town.
Sweet Thames, flow softly. At London Yard I held his hand. At Blackwell Point I faced him. At the Isle of Dogs I kissed his mouth and tenderly embraced him. Heard the bells of Greenwich ringing.
Flow, sweet river, flow.
All the time my heart was singing.
Sweet Thames, flow softly.
Richmond Park, it was his ring.
Flow, sweet river, flow.
I'd have given him anything.
Sweet Thames, flow softly. From Shadwell Dock to Nine Elms Reach, we cheek to cheek were dancing. A necklace made of London Bridge her beauty was enhancing. Kissed her once again at Wapping.
Flow, sweet river, flow.
After that there was no stopping.
Sweet Thames, flow softly.
Lighthouse Reach I gave her there.
Flow, sweet river, flow.
As a ribbon for her hair.
Sweet Thames, flow softly. From Rotherhithe to Putney Bridge, my love I was declaring, and he from Kew to Isleworth, his love for me was swearing.
Love had set my heart a-burning.
Flow, sweet river, flow.
Never saw the tide was turning.
Sweet Thames, flow softly.
Gave her Hampton Court a twist.
Flow, sweet river, flow.
Into a bracelet for her wrist.
Sweet Thames, flow softly.
And now, alas, the tide has changed my love. She has gone from me. And winter's frost has touched my heart and put a blight upon me. Creeping fog is on the river.
Flow, sweet river, flow.
Sun and moon and stars gone with her.
Sweet Thames, flow softly.
Swift the Thames runs to the sea.
Flow, sweet river, flow.
Bearing ships and part of me.
Sweet Thames, flow softly.
Didn't see that one coming.
Beautiful. How can Ewan McCall wrote songs that just feel like he dipped back into the recesses of some other life, you know?
Yeah.
Hundreds of years before he was ever born. Just unbelievable. Well, a lot of folks have recorded this next tune, and including John Prine, and written by Rolly Sally. This song is one of my favorite recordings. Is actually by Alison Krauss and Robert Plant. But I was reading on this song, and thinking about today's theme, that Alison Krauss said that what she feels about this song is that it's twisted. And that's because she says when you combine a melody that kind of lifts you up, and then you've got lyrics, like the lyrics in this song, it gets you all twisted, and I really agree with that. Here's Killing the Blues. Leaves are falling just like embers, colors red and gold, they set us on fire, burning just like a moonbeam in our eyes. Somebody said they saw me swinging the world by the tail, bouncing over a white cloud, killing the blues. I'm guilty of something I hope you never do, because there is nothing sadder than losing yourself in love. Somebody said they saw me swinging the world by the tail, bouncing over the white cloud, killing the blue. Now you ask me just to leave you, to go out on my own, get what I need to. You want me to find what I already had. Somebody said they saw me swinging the world by the tail, bouncing over the white cloud, killing the blue. Somebody said they saw me swinging the world by the tail, bouncing over a white cloud, killing the blue.
Ah, it was lovely. Nicely done.
Thank you.
It's a pretty strange song.
What's that?
I say it's a pretty strange song.
It is. Swinging that world.
But they're all strange, aren't they?
I
Tonight
think,
they are.
Yeah, I think Heartbreak is strange, so the more strange
Oh,
songs
yeah.
about it, the better.
Yeah, and the cognitive dissonance set up between the melody and the lyric. I just tend to get that word in there so people know I went to college, you know?
Oh, I thought you had a bet with somebody.
So, this song is probably not as well known as that, except in certain circles. I don't know what those circles might be. Well, certainly folk music clubs, huh? And it's written by James Stevens. I had to look that up to find it out, but I've been hearing this song forever. It's called The Frozen Lager. That's if you're from Boston, The Frozen Lager. And if you're from the rest of the world, it's The Frozen Lager. as I sat down one evening. 'Twas in a small cafe. A 40-year-old waitress to me these words did say, I see you are a logger and not just a common bum, 'cause nobody but a logger stirs his coffee with his thumb. My lover was a logger, there's none like him today. If you poured whiskey on it, he would eat a bale of hay. And he never shaved his whiskers from off his horny hide. He'd just drive them in with a hammer and bite them off inside. My lover came to see me upon one freezing day. He held me in his fond embrace and broke 3 vertebrae. He kissed me when we parted so hard he broke my jaw, and I could not speak to tell him he'd forgot his Mackinaw. I saw my lover leaving, sauntering through the snow, gaily going homeward at 48 below. The weather tried to freeze him, it tried its level best at 100 degrees below zero. He buttoned up his vest. It froze clear down to China. It froze to the stars above at 1,000 degrees below zero. It froze my logger love. They tried in vain to thaw him. The truth I'll tell you, sir. They made him into axe blades to chop the Douglas fir. So I lost my logger lover, and to this cafe I've come to wait to find a man who stirs his coffee with his thumb. Now, Annie, if I knew you were going to act this out, I would have had Ben spotlight you.
I was looking for my puppets.
Yeah, I was wondering about those puppets. Where are they when you need them?
We used to sing that song in my family, you know, so it's just...
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, right? That tells you a lot. Yeah, it was one of our family favorites, man. It just man, oh, great.
Well, here's another John Prine song. Small town, bright lights, Saturday night, pinballs and pool halls flashing their lights, making change behind the counter in a penny arcade, sat the wallflower daughter of Virginia and Ray, Lydia.
Lydia's thoughts, without any trace, hid behind eyes sunk deep in her face. She read romance magazines up in her room and felt just like Sunday on a Saturday afternoon. But dreaming just comes natural,
like the first breath from a baby,
like sunshine feeding daisies,
like the love hidden deep in your heart.
Bunk beds, shaved heads, Saturday night. A warehouse of strangers with 60-watt lights staring through the ceiling, just wanting to be one of too many young PFCs. Donald.
There were spaces between Donald and whatever he said. Strangers had forced him to live in his head. He envisioned the details of romantic scenes after midnight in the stillness of the barracks latrine.
But dreaming just comes natural.
Like the first breath from a baby.
Like sunshine feeding daisies.
Like the love hidden deep in your heart. Hot love, cold love, no love at all. A portrait of guilt is hung on the wall.
Nothing is wrong, nothing is right. Donald and Lydia made love that night. Love.
They made love in the mountains. They made love in the streams.
They made love in the valleys. They made love in their dreams.
But when they was finished, there was nothing to say.
'Cause mostly they made love from 10 miles away. But dreaming just comes natural.
Like the first breath from a baby.
Like sunshine feeding daisies.
Like the love hidden deep in your heart. Wish I could have sung that song to my confessor.
Your confessor? Did I hear you right?
When I was in high school.
Oh, okay. yeah, no, I know. Peter whispered, Catholic confessor. Yeah, okay.
I forgot for a moment there I was talking to Quakers.
Yeah, I know.
You have to
it's
be
okay.
very, very careful.
Hey, I grew up in a Catholic neighborhood. I knew that the devil lived under my swing set in my backyard. So.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how to go from that comment to this next song.
It's going to be a night like that, isn't it?
Well, this is something, this song is so incredible. When we first heard it, we just sobbed our eyes out, didn't we, Peter? Yeah. Written by Sally Fingeret. It's been recorded by a number of folks, including Peter, Paul, and Mary, and others. We just love this song so much. It's called "Home Is Where the Heart Is," and it's really made such an impression on me that we ended up creating these bookmarks and creating a design from our second songbook, "Rise Again," that has to do with this song. So. On the corner, there's this nice man. His name is Mark. He's always smiling. He's got this mom who comes on Wednesdays in the evening with soup so steaming. He shares his house with his friend Martin. They're not brothers, they're not cousins. My little girl wonders all about these men. I take hold of her hand and I begin. Home is where the heart is, no matter how the heart lives. Inside your heart where love is, that's where you got to make yourself at home. live Deb and Tricia, with their tools and ladders and their room addition. My kid yells over, "Are you having a baby?" They wink and smile, say someday maybe. Through the doors go kids and mommies. Funny how you don't see the daddies going. My little girl wonders about this house with no men. I take hold of her hand and I begin. Home is where the heart is, no matter how the heart lives. Inside your heart where love is, that's where you got to make yourself at home. Round the corner, here comes Martin. He's alone now, he tries smiling. He roams around his well-stocked kitchen, knows that fate will soon be coming. My little girl wonders where he'll live. I take hold of her hand and I begin. Home is where the heart is, no matter how the heart lives. Inside your heart where love is, that's where you got to make yourself at home. Martin sits, waits with a window open. His house is empty, his heart is broken. We bring him toys and watercolors. He loves to hear my little baby's story. She's a gift I share, she's his companion. She's the string on the kite, she guides him into the wind. My little girl wonders who'll take care of him. We take hold of his hand and we begin. Home is where the heart is, no matter how the heart lives. Inside your heart where love is, that's where you got to make yourself at home.
My. Well, one of the odd and unpredictable things about this evening is the order that we put the songs in. This is episode 2 of What the World Needs Now, Odd and Unpredictable Love Songs. And when we did the first one, my friend Ted out in Tucson sent me an email. He said, how could you do an evening of odd love songs without a Flanders and Swann song? So here's one of them. Another one of these. No, forget it. Never mind. I'm not going to tell you anything about this song. The jungle was giving a party, a post-hibernation ball. The ballroom was crowded with waltzing gazelles, gorillas, and zebras, and all. But who is that animal, almost in tears, pretending to powder her nose? A poor little warthog who sits by herself in a pink satin dress with blue bows. Again she is nobody's choice, and she sings in a sad little voice. No one ever wants to court a warthog, though a warthog does her best. I've spent a lot of money for a warthog. I am perfumed and prettily dressed. I've lustre-rinsed my hair. I'm perfumed here and there. My gums were tinted when I brushed my teeth. I'm young and in my prime, but I'm a wallflower all the time, 'cause I'm a warthog. Just a warthog. I'm a warthog underneath. Take your places, for the ladies excuse me. Excited and radiant, she runs on the floor to join in the furor and fuss. She taps on each shoulder and says, "Excuse me," and each couple replies, "Excuse us." Then, having no manners at all, they sing as they dance round the hall. No one ever wants to court a warthog, though a warthog does her best. Her accessories are dazzling. For a warthog, she is perfumed and daringly dressed. We know her these and those are like Marilyn Monroe's. Her gown is just a scintillating sheath. She tries her best to please, but everybody sees that she's a warthog, just a warthog. She's a warthog underneath. Head hanging, she wanders away from the floor, this warthog whom nobody loves. Then stops in amazement, for there at the door stands a gentleman warthog, impeccably dressed, in the act of removing his gloves. His fine, chiseled face seems to frown as he looks her first up and then down. I fancy you must be a sort of warthog, though for a warthog you look a mess. That makeup's far too heavy for a warthog. You should have chosen a more suitable dress. Did you have to dye your hair? If that's perfume, give me air. I strongly disapprove of scarlet teeth. Ah, but let us take the floor, for I'm absolutely sure that you're a warthog. Yes, a warthog. Just the sweetest little, neatest little, dearest and completest little warthog underneath. At least it had a happy ending.
Oh man, that's so good. I know them. I mean, I know their song. I never heard that one. That's so
Didn't
good.
Donald Swann, where's Peter when you need him? Didn't Donald Swann live at Pendle Hill?
Yes, he did.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah.
I can speak
Study
Quaker
Center
when I
down in-
need to.
Say what?
I can speak Quaker when I need to.
You can. Gee, Pendle Hill. Yeah, that's a name of
Look, I'm
named
being
after
silent.
a famous Quaker spot in England, but it's a Quaker Study Center down in Pennsylvania, very near where we lived for almost 22 years. I loved the line, "We know her these and those are like Marilyn Monroe's."
Very naughty.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Well, all good things must come to an end, my dear.
I know. We've come to the end. I can't believe it, Charlie. This has been so much fun.
Let's do a love song for our audience.
Yeah. Let's do it. Steve.
And who better to end with than Sai Khan
Yeah.
in the key of F. Old fighter, you sure took it on the chin. Where'd you ever get the strength to stand, never giving up or giving in? You know that I just wanna shake your hand, because people like you help people like me go on. Go on. People like you help people like me go on. Go on.
Old battler with a scar for every town, thought you were no better than the rest. You wore your colors every way but down. All you ever gave us was your best. But you know that people like you help people like me go on, go on. People like you help people like me go on, go on.
Old dreamer with a world in every thought,
Where'd you get the vision to keep on?
you sure gave back as good as what you got.
I hope that when my time is almost gone, they'll say that people like you help people like me, helped people like you go on, go on.
Because people like you help people like me go on, go on, go on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
to
you.
Ben Grosskopf. Thanks to the People's Music Network.
Yes.
Thanks
Thank you,
especially
Ben,
to
and-
Annie Patterson and all these wonderful songwriters.
Oh, yes. Thanks to Peter Blood for joining in on a few of these songs tonight. And thanks to you, Charlie.
Good night, everyone.